Blackmore.
Northern Shaolin Kung Fu, known for its crazy footwork, long-range techniques, and those crazy acrobatics that you see in so many different fighting styles out there. But you're going to be getting so many different flavors of certain northern styles that I'll be covering in today's video. Some that you have seen in plenty of past fighting style videos, and then there will be some in here that I've either briefly talked about, or some that are surprisingly never really been on the channel or lost through text that has little bit of information out there. But if you're wondering if there's going to be any bonuses added onto this, I can only let that speak for itself. But kick your feet up, relax, and enjoy today's episode because you are in for a treat. Check it out. In the vast world of Chinese martial arts, there exists a style that embodies illusion, unpredictability, and fluid movement, vanishing from the opponent's grasp only to strike from an unexpected angle. This is Mizongquan, also known as the Lost Track Fist. The origins of this martial art dates back to the late Tang Dynasty and early Song Dynasty. While its precise beginnings remain shrouded in legend, historical records suggest that Mizongquan evolved in northern China, particularly in the Hebei province. It is said to have been influenced by various styles of Shaolin martial arts, integrating evasive footwork and deceptive tactics. One of the most famous figures associated with Mizongquan is the legendary martial artist Xiao, who popularized the style in the late Qing Dynasty and early Republican era. Huo's reputation as a national hero helped elevate Mizongquan's status, making it a household name in Chinese martial arts. Pai-chan from Virtual Fighter is a pretty awesome representation of Mizongquan, when not too many fighting game characters use this particular martial art. You can even see demos of this in several of her intros, win quotes in Virtual Fighter 4 and Virtual Fighter 5. You can even see Jet Li in Fist of Legend doing a demonstration of this martial art. Even Roxy and Kakuto Chochin of all fighting games on the original Xbox has a Mizongquan fighter. Maybe one of these days I'll end up doing a deep dive on that game. One of the many Xbox exclusive fighting games that I never got to try back in the day, but hey, who knows, maybe I'll end up giving this a swirl and just see what is this game about. Shaolin Quan, or Shaolin Fist, is a direct product of the Shaolin Monastery, developed over centuries by monks seeking to strengthen both body and mind. Its origins trace back to a legendary Indian monk, who, according to legend, arrived at the Shaolin Monastery in the 5th or 6th century. Throughout Chinese history, Shaolin monks played a crucial role in warfare, serving as elite fighters in battles and earning a reputation for their near supernatural abilities. Over time, their techniques were codified into an extensive martial arts system, Shaolin Quan. It is built on principles of speed, power, and fluidity. It focuses on the combinations of striking, grappling, and acrobatics. Unlike the rigid structure of some traditional styles, it employs rapid and relentless attacks that overwhelm opponents. One of its trademarks is the use of animal-based techniques, drawing from movements of the tiger, crane, snake, dragon, and many others. Each represents different combat strategies, from power to agility and deception. Shaolin Quan integrates both external and internal energy. Hard techniques focus on powerful strikes, while soft techniques incorporate evasive maneuvers and redirection of force. There's even weapons training like the staff, straight sword, broadsword, spear, and chain whip. Many of these weapons are extensions of unarmed techniques. So, what's the difference between Shaolin Quan and Northern Shaolin? Well, Shaolin Quan represents the original martial arts of the Shaolin Temple, encompassing a wide range of forms and techniques. So think of it as the root of it all, similar to like what you see with Muay Thai and Muay Boy. Northern Shaolin Kung Fu, however, is a broader classification developed later over time, heavily influenced by regional fighting styles. Northern Shaolin schools tend to emphasize standardized routines with elegant, flowing movements. Shaolin Quan, as a monastery rooted style, is more varied, adapting to different monks' strengths and combat needs out there. Lei Fei from Virtual Fighter is one of the best representations of Shaolin Fist that I've ever seen in such a long time. So it's pretty awesome seeing how much he blends multiple different Shaolin stances, explosive attacks, and a buttery smooth acrobatics. It's not every day you get a traditional monk design in this sense to be a pretty interesting character gameplay wise, so hopefully he survives the transition coming into Virtual Fighter 6. The Chop Hanging Fist, aka Piguaquan. This is a traditional Chinese martial art with roots dating back to the Ming Dynasty, though some may say its techniques go back even further than that, possibly to the Song Dynasty. Originally developed in northern China, especially in Hebei province, Piguaquan was practiced alongside other long-range systems. It became popular among bodyguards, soldiers, and warriors who valued its ability to break through enemy guards with raw, circular power. Unlike the linear strikes of Wing Chun or the upright power of Southern styles, Piguaquan favors broad, open arcs, sacrificing speed for devastating momentum. Piguaquan's techniques are based on torque, whipping motions, and body rotation. Its power comes from the waist and shoulders, not just the arms. Things like chopping palm, hanging palm, explosive throws, sweeping kicks, and body spinning attacks. Even Piguaquan fighters is often trained alongside Baguazhang, where Baguazhang is the hammer, Piguaquan is the whip. So think about it in that sort of way. Together, they form a devastating 1-2 combo. In fact, many bodyguards of Chinese royalty and even modern Chinese military forces have trained in both styles. Now here's the big question. Is Piguaquan part of Northern Shaolin Kung Fu? The answer is both yes and no from my findings. Let me explain from what I've gathered. Piguaquan didn't originate inside the Shaolin Temple, but because of its northern roots, its explosive long-range power, and its compatibility with other systems, it was absorbed into the broader Northern Shaolin family. It shares many characteristics with Northern styles like deep stances and a focus on dynamic agility. Tekken's Ling Xiaoyu has been a pretty strong Piguaquan rep since Tekken 3. 95% of her Pigua is in her moveset, and maybe 5% is Baguazhang in her later iterations, which I'll talk about more in that specific style segment later. Most of her moves are classic Pigua slaps and chops. She's using mostly Poo-Poo stance and back turn stance, which is heavily presented in Talu forms of Piguaquan. Same goes for Dead or Alive's Helena, being another great 3D Piguaquan fighter representation. Both of these characters having the classic Phoenix crouch stance as well. Even Shu Ying from the legendary Shenmue series shows off a demonstration of Piguaquan, which I still need to end up checking that game out one of these days. The 8 Trigrams Palm, aka Baguazhang, is one of the 3 major internal Chinese martial arts out there. Its roots trace back all the way to the early 19th century from a man named Dong Haichin, a martial artist and servant in the imperial court of the Qing dynasty. He supposedly traveled throughout China, mastering various martial arts before studying Taoist circle walking and internal alchemy in the mountains. He combined these practices with traditional Chinese martial arts, creating what we now have as Baguazhang. Unlike the hard, linear strikes of external martial arts, Bagua emphasizes mobility, evasion, and deception. One of the big foundations of Bagua is the circle walking. Practitioners walk in a circle with precise footwork to develop balance, agility, and the ability to flank or escaping opponents. There are palm changes, dynamic body turns, and transitions that allow you to change direction instantly, ideal for counterattacks, especially palm strikes, chopping, and piercing fingers, used to strike vital points or disrupt balance. Even spiraling movements, throws, and joint locks. Bagua fighters don't confront force, they redirect it, flow around it, and strike from unexpected angles. Like I mentioned before in the last style segment, Ling Xiaoyu's moves, roughly 5% of her moveset, is Baguazhang, mainly her circle walk from the hypnosis stance. Same for even Pai-chan having the circle walk and several other strikes. Baguazhang influence reaches the Hyuga clan in the manga anime Naruto, especially between Hinata and Neji's Junin exam fight. Hotaru from the Fatal Fury series, despite her Neja martial arts background, has a blend of multiple internal-based martial arts from Bagua, Taijiquan, and Xingyi Quan. Then there's many more out there too under her belt. I feel her City of the Wolves iteration is one of the best examples of displaying this from her attack animations, poses, and supers. Katana in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance used this as her secondary fighting style. Same goes for Ashura in Mortal Kombat Deception. Changquan or the LongFist. Some fist styles out there follow the motto, the best defense is a strong offense, the foundation of many northern systems, developed during the Northern Song dynasty. It emphasizes long-range strikes, powerful kicks, high jumps, and fluid acrobatics. LongFist's arsenal of kicks covers everything from the basic front snap kick to a jumping back kick, from a low sweep to a whirlwind kick, specifically typical difficulty movements in modern Changquan. Changquan becomes a base system for military training and was later incorporated into modern wushu. Its fast, clean, and cinematic look is one of the most recognizable styles worldwide. The First Lady of Street Fighter Chun-Li, in my opinion, is a pretty great representation for this martial art. Despite her Chinese Kempo background, she's a northern specialist, with some outside wushu additions, having so many different styles under her belt, from LongFist, Tai Chi, Wing Chun, Baguazhang, and many more. Always remember, anytime you see Chinese Kempo or wushu is an umbrella term for Chinese martial arts. So think of it in a sense as you see MMA with mixed martial arts, of someone having many different fighting styles under them. Kung Lao in Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks and MK11 uses this fighting style in certain attacks and throws. Xingyi Quan, or Form and Will Fist, is an eternal Chinese martial art with roots going back to the Song dynasty, though it truly flourished in the Ming and Qing dynasties. Xingyi is an eternal martial art like Taijiquan or Bagua, meaning it focuses on cultivating inner energy, or ki, and coordinating mind and body. But don't be fooled, Xingyi is probably the most aggressive and combat-driven of the three. At its core, Xingyi is about direct intention. You align your body like a spear and drive through your opponent. Every technique is designed for maximum efficiency, minimal wasted motion, and a mindset of destroy and advance. Now, here's the big question. Is Xingyi considered a Northern Shaolin style? Technically, no. It is not directly part of Northern Shaolin Kung Fu, though it does share some deep history roots with it. Xingyi Quan is considered one of the big three major internal martial arts, where its origins are linked to Northern Shaolin. That said, Xingyi does share northern roots, especially in Shaanxi and Hebei provinces, so you'll find sometimes crossover influences. Many modern schools incorporate elements from both Northern Shaolin and Xingyi. Characters that hold a strong will into this martial art is Taken's Wang Jinrui, in which I will say was given a great redesign gameplay-wise from Tag 1 into his return in Taken 5 and onward. It's a night and day difference. I would love for the old man to make a return someday. Another great Xingyi fighter would be Elliot from the Dead or Alive series. Even Genfu, which I must make clear, is a Xingyi Quan fighter. So, what's the difference? Aren't they technically the same? Well, technically yes and no. Think of them as cousins instead of twins. Xingyi Quan is more on the broader up-to-date aspects of the family, while Xingyi Quan is more of the older or old-school aspects of it, being a branch within Xingyi Quan having its own unique characteristics focusing on the 6 harmonies. Taijiquan, the supreme ultimate fist, a name rooted deep within Taoist cosmology, referencing the balance of yin and yang. According to legend, Taijiquan was created by the General Chen Wangting in the 16th century Ming Dynasty in the Henan province. So Chen decided to blend Shaolin martial arts, Taoist breathing, internal alchemy, military strategy, and philosophical principles for eternal energy. Chen's style is a direct descendant of Northern Shaolin's battlefield techniques, but transformed into coiling softness and hidden power. Where Northern Shaolin focuses on external, explosive movement, Chen's style internalizes that force, coiling it like a spring before release, becoming the Chen style Taijiquan, the founder for all Tai Chi styles out there. So it makes it one of the oldest Taijiquan styles. Now, the Yang style is something you'll see widely practiced today, thanks to Yang Luchen in the 1800s, a servant turned disciple who studied secretly in Chen village. He would go on to modify the art, smoothing out the explosive moves to help it be more streamlined and easy for people to get into. I still say Lei Feng from the Dead or Alive series is one of the best representations of all time for Taijiquan in a fighting game, especially the Chen style and the Yang style she happens to blend together. It's amazing how the devs nailed this in her gameplay, literally from day one, and then just building upon that more and more throughout the entire series. Even the PS1 game Shaolin has a Taijiquan character you can choose from to play throughout the game. One of these days I'm going to check out this game, because it looks pretty interesting, so I'm kind of curious about it. Also, Mortal Kombat's very own Kenshi uses Tai Chi throughout the 3D era games, and in some aspects of the NRS era games. Tongbeiquan's roots are deep, mysterious, and filled with legends. Most agree it emerged during the late Ming or early Qing dynasty in northern China, possibly around the Hebei, Henan, and Shandong provinces. There are multiple branches and lineages of Tongbei, each with their own origin story. Some traces, from what I can see, goes back to the Taoist hermits from the Wudang Mountains. Others claim it was developed by monks of the Shaolin Temple after observing the agile white apes of the mountains. The core idea of Tongbei is simple. Use the back and spine as a power conduit, whipping the arms into devastating strikes. It's less about muscle and more about structure, speed, and timing. In Tongbei, every motion starts from the feet, spirals through the waist and back, along with exploding out of the arms like a whip. This creates what's called Baguazhang, explosive power generated with seemingly little effort. Practitioners often strike in combinations of 3, 5, or even 7, changing angles rapidly, overwhelming the opponent before they have time to react to what's going on. While not born inside the Shaolin Temple, Tongbeiquan shares deep roots with Northern Shaolin traditions, especially in its emphasis on long-range strikes, dynamic footwork, and animal-inspired motion. Many northern Shaolin schools adopted elements of Tongbei for its combat effectiveness. It's one of the few arts out there that combines soft, hard, internal, external, and deception. Only character I've seen using this fighting style is Mortal Kombat's Cross in Deadly Alliance. You can see her even doing a demo of this in the game if you sit long enough to let the demo reels play in the game where they're doing like katas and other different stuff like that. If there are any other characters out there using this fighting style, please let me know in the comments, because I really couldn't find anyone else out there using Tongbei. Now these last two, I'm just going to have them together because they go so hand in hand. And these are two of the most iconic forms in traditional northern Shaolin Kung Fu, the Hong Chuan and Xiao Hong Chuan. These two are living blueprints of martial strategy, explosive power, and battlefield readiness. These forms emerged during the Ming Dynasty and were believed to be developed or refined by the warrior monks of Shaolin as standardized training methods. The Hong in their name means fierce and represents power. According to tradition, Xiao Hong Chuan was created first as a fundamental form, while Da Hong Chuan evolved later as an advanced battlefield-oriented set, either during the Ming or early Qing period. Think of Xiao Hong Chuan as the foundation, as it teaches the core principles, things like stance transitions, basic footwork, rapid strikes, and explosive movements. Then comes Da Hong Chuan, which builds on those basics, adding heavier stances, wider arcs, deeper angles, and more complex transitions. In traditional Shaolin training, a student would often master Xiao Hong Chuan before graduating to Da Hong Chuan, ensuring a solid base of body mechanics and internal power. In the grand system of Northern Shaolin, Xiao and Da Hong Chuan are often considered essential forms. They sit alongside other classics like Tongbeiquan, Lianbochuan, and Changchuan. What sets them apart is their deep connection to military Shaolin, as they contain not just civilian self-defense techniques, but tactical combinations meant for wartime scenarios, charging, flanking, and overpowering. Even those forms are used in many modern wushu competitions, although traditional lineages continue to preserve the original versions. The less flashy, more functional approach, you can still find both of these martial arts being taught today. And I really just could not find any characters using these two fighting styles, which is already quite interesting on its own, but maybe one day we'll end up seeing these two martial arts get represented in some kind of way. I feel what makes Northern Shaolin also special, similar to Southern Shaolin, is the fact that you're able to see so many different fighting games out there, being able to like just create characters off of these different fighting styles, and especially for Northern Shaolin, for a lot of those crazy acrobatics, flips, kicks, all of that, the whole 9 yards, which creates wonderful characters out there, especially that we have like Ling Xiaoyu, Lei Fei, Pai Chan, just to name a few. Just the ones that really, I will say, just stand out there. Even Chun-Li, like how can I forget that? But yeah, you have a lot of these characters that really just bring just that flavor and just bring the overall fighting game to life, especially just being able to represent these martial arts, because I feel that's why you will just have an endless ocean of so many different fighting styles that these fighting game devs can sit there and cover. Then one of these days, I hope somebody out there will sit there and cover a lot of the African martial arts that has still not made its way into fighting games, especially Dambe. I will never stop preaching that, and I would love to see how that gets incorporated into a fighting game one day. But what is your overall thoughts? Did you learn anything new in today's video? Especially some of the games that I've never covered on this channel before, just having their surprise characters with these martial arts styles. please leave your comments below. I'd love to sit there and read and check them out. If you enjoyed today's video, please give a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you can stay updated of any new videos coming to the channel. Then the next video, we will be finally going into the weapon styles, especially Tonfa. And right after that will probably be the 3-section staff, or I could just go Bojutsu, but I'll leave that up in a poll to see what you guys would rather see of that being covered after Tonfa and batons. But anyways, folks, this is Blackmore here, signing out. Catch you later, folks, and stay safe out there, more importantly, and keep on gaming. But anyways, I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.
The study of Kung Fu fighting is ongoing. Don't ever hope to master all of them. So be careful.